Good afternoon. Good afternoon. And welcome to everyone who's joining us on the internet as well. I want to backtrack a little bit. You've heard me say that you are not God, but God is all there is of you, truly. And as we've been moving through the course, it's become obvious that the first legitimate step one takes in the process of his awakening occurs when you arrive at an impasse and you don't know what the heck to do. And yet there is a demand for something to be done. And all of the resources you thought you had are not answering the need. And you finally reach out beyond your memory, your past experience, your best theories, and you say, help. Now, in the terminology of the Course, this is a matter of turning toward the altar, which is right in the middle of you. It's the way you let something else in. And I've identified the altar as the Holy Spirit, which we've learned is nothing more than your right mind. The Holy Spirit is your capacity to see things God's way. That's the simplest way it can be put. But remember that the action involved in turning to the Holy Spirit, turning to the altar, is one of abandoning your best judgments, your best theories, your strongest beliefs, all the definitions you have given to everything. It is experienced as the abandonment of the I that you have thought you were, the self-sufficient I that you thought you were, or the self-sufficient I that you thought you ought to be able to be. It's a matter of abandoning that and yielding to what you find yourself knowing when you've turned to the Holy Spirit, opened the door and invited it in. When you do this, you are abandoning the question, what am I? The concern you feel about needing to know what you are is left behind. And if you persist in giving your attention to the Holy Spirit, that which is nothing more than your right mind, you will ultimately never return to that place of independence that you thought was your normal state. You will not turn to the Holy Spirit, learn of it, and then abandon it and come back and apply in your independent life and as an independent entity what you have learned. If you are persistent in yielding into the Holy Spirit, you might say that the Holy Spirit, your right mind, will subsume and consume you. And the experience of it will be the experience of your identity. It's very important to understand that you don't lean into the truth. You don't lean into God's perspective so that you might leave God's presence and practice God's perspective independently. This has nothing to do with learning how to be independent more effectively. It has to do with abandoning the imagined state of independence entirely. I said, you are not God, but God is all there is of you. I could equally say, you are not the Holy Spirit, but the Holy Spirit is all there is of you. I use these words so that you might be very clear about the fact that waking up involves an actual shift of emphasis, an actual shift of focus that causes you to begin to be in what is to you an entirely new way of being. The tendency, the slippery, confusing, unloving goal of the ego causes you to say, well, if God is all there is to me, I must be God. But this I is still the same I that you've been defining yourself as up until this moment. And if you leave it at that, well, God is all there is of me, so therefore I am God, you will simply attempt to be independent more powerfully, with more arrogance. And you'll still be in the middle of your dream. You'll define things more vehemently. You will determine how things are supposed to be with more force. And you will inflict your definitions on everyone else with a greater sense of authority. And you will have missed the point, and you will have missed the opportunity to make a shift. And God's perspective will still be unavailable to you. You know what? The key words for you to use as the premise for every single moment of conscious experience you're having are, thy will be done. If this doesn't remain in the foreground of your awareness, you will easily slip back into the well-established habit of my will be done. And this me, whose will is to be done, will be the same old you that you have been dallying with, we'll say forever, although that's not absolutely true. You want to get out of the rut. You want to skip the track. The point is to no longer have this repetitive experience of struggle, of constantly reaching for fulfillment and never reaching it. Every moment is your opportunity to say, Father, what would you have me see instead of this? What would you have me see instead of what I'm seeing? What do you see here that it is my birthright to be seeing and experiencing without any distortions, without any biases being applied to it? What is your perspective? Because God is all there is of you, it is your birthright to be experiencing His perspective. And so you must request it. You must ask for it to be given to you. And you must abandon your insistence upon seeing it your way. So I'm going to put it this way. For the next couple of hours, or for the next couple of weeks, or for the next couple of years, or I'm going to say for the next couple of centuries or lifetimes, you cannot afford to think that you have any other option in front of you than yielding to the Father, constantly saying, not my will be done, but thine be done. What is your will? You're not going to have to just do this for a couple of weeks and then you'll get it, and then you'll be able to take hold of things from a proper perspective. We're talking about making a shift back into your right mind and staying there forever, because that's your sanity. Again, your sanity isn't something that once you've gotten it back, you can employ to be better in an independent mode, which is insanity. The experience of joining with the Father by saying, thy will, not mine, be done. I yield to your will, I yield to your perspective, and I yield to it unequivocally forever. That will move you into a brand new conscious experience of being. A brand new conscious experience of everything you've already been conscious of, plus infinitely more. And that experience will be the definition of you. You will know what you are. You will know what you are. You will not know what you are. You see what the difference in the emphasis is? You will know that you are the conscious experience of creation, of all of creation. You are the conscious experience of it, the recognizer of it, which is the recognizer of the presence of God. In every infinite aspect of His being, meaning that all of creation will be disclosed to you and embraced by you. including the aspects of creation that you're experiencing right here and right now. So this is not an escape from what you're experiencing. It's an escape from the lens through which you are looking at what you're experiencing. The lens of isolated independence, isolated authoritative independence. So to put it simply, at this point in your so-called journey of awakening, you must simply accept the fact that your task is to constantly yield to the Father's perspective, is to constantly reach into that place of excellence in you and yield to it, which you will not experience as an experience of what you are. You will experience it as though you're yielding into something you don't recognize as you. What you're doing is you're yielding into the harmony of God's presence. God has to be more important to you than the question, what am I? So, for all practical purposes, what I'm saying is, count on it, that you will never have any other option available to you than yielding into that which you don't recognize as you yet. And do not assume that doing this will help you find out who you are and what you are as an independent entity who, because of the investigation of truth, will be able to be independent more efficiently and more successfully. You will not be returning to the I that you think you are right now. Whether you like what I've said or not, do you understand what I've said? Is anybody confused about it still? Okay. What better thing do you have to do than explore the potential that I've described of leaning into God? Remember that you've been trying the alternative. You've imagined that you've had an option, and you've been exercising that option, and the result has not been bliss. The result has not been uninterrupted harmony. The result has not been the permanent absence of suffering, of sickness, of death. So if what you have been doing has involved all of those things that I've just mentioned, why would you give preference to continuing what will continue that experience? You do not have something better to do than to explore yielding into that place of excellence in you that I've told you that you have, and which I guarantee you that if you will lean into, you will find will illuminate you and illumine your mind and provide you with clarity that allows you to behave in a new way, because the basis for your actions will not be coming from your memory, your conditioned thinking, your habits, your ruts. You deserve more than you're experiencing because your birthright is far greater than what you are experiencing. Because what you are is far greater than the definition you've given yourselves. And anyone who will begin to explore this will find within themselves confirmation of the truth of what I'm saying. Okay, let's go to the book. This next section is entitled, To Have, Give All to All. Like any good teacher, the Holy Spirit does know more than you do now, but He teaches only to make you equal with Him. In a way, that's what I've been describing so far today. It will be wise for you just to assume that the Holy Spirit will always know more than you, and therefore there will be no reason for you ever to stop learning from the Holy Spirit. There will be no reason for you to withdraw your attention from what the Holy Spirit has to share with you, or with what your right mind has to disclose to you about who you are. As you persistently let the Holy Spirit define you by giving you the experience of truth, you will find the Holy Spirit occupying more and more of your conscious awareness, until this puny little false sense of yourself that invited the Holy Spirit in becomes so much less predominant in the face of the increasing presence of the Holy Spirit's perspective in you, that you begin to forget the question, what am I as an independent entity? It will diminish until you begin to forget to think that what you're learning is something to bring back into the independent state you started out from, so that you can be independent more effectively. And when the last little bit of willfulness, the last little right to independence that you've been holding on to goes up in a wisp of smoke, all there will be to you is the Holy Spirit, whose function is to serve God by glorifying God, by acknowledging God in every aspect of the experience of being conscious. Again, like any good teacher, the Holy Spirit does know more than you do now, but He teaches only to make you equal with Him. This is because you had already taught wrongly, having believed what was not true. You did not believe in your own perfection. Now here's an interesting question. Could God teach you that you had made a split mind when He knows your mind only as whole? What God does know is that His communication channels are not open to Him, so that He cannot impart His joy and know that His children are wholly joyous. This is an ongoing process, not in time, but in eternity. Again, what God does know is that his communication channels are not open to him. It's sort of like God recognizing that you haven't called him for a while. So there's no opportunity to chat. There's no opportunity to be in communion. Why? Because you're so preoccupied with this challenging and wonderful experience of being independent and doing things your way and defining things the way you want to define them, and enjoying the challenge of overcoming the difficulties you have in this state of mind, not realizing that you're having the difficulties because you are functioning at odds with your being. God's function is to impart his joy. It's actually to extend all of what he is and know that his children are wholly joyous, are experiencing what he's extending fully. This is an ongoing process. It never ceases. Not in time, but in eternity. God's extending outward, though not his completeness, is blocked when the sonship does not communicate with him as one. In other words, his completeness can't be blocked. But the extension outward, the experience of his extension outward, is blocked when you, the sonship, does not communicate with him as one. So he thought, God thought, my children sleep and must be awakened. How can you wake children better and more kindly than by a gentle voice that will not frighten them, but will merely remind them that the night is over and the light has come? You do not inform them that the nightmares which frightened them so badly were not real, because children believe in magic. You merely reassure them that they are safe now. Then you train them to recognize the difference between sleeping and waking, so that they will understand they need not be afraid of dreams. Then, when bad dreams come, they will call on the light themselves to dispel them. That's the function of the Holy Spirit. That's the function of your right mind. It is the presence of love. And so as love, it addresses you in your dream lovingly, and not in a way that causes more fear, not in a way that causes you to feel more guilty, but in a gentle, inviting way, which by its very nature communicates the experience of safety, the experience of kindness that doesn't have to be defended against. This is the nature of your being. Continuing, a wise teacher teaches through approach, not avoidance. He does not emphasize what you must avoid to escape from harm so much as what you need to learn to have joy. He does not emphasize what you must avoid to escape from harm so much as what you need to learn to have joy. You see a different emphasis. This is true even of the world's teachers. Consider the confusion a child would experience if he were told, "Do not do this because it might hurt you and make you unsafe, but if you do that, you will escape from harm and be safe, and then you will not be afraid." All of this could be included in only 3 words. Do only that. You see, if you're giving directions, you don't say, "Now don't go to the left, because if you go to the left, this will happen and that will happen and the other thing will happen and you will be really sorry." All you have to say is, "Go to the right." You see?